It is. Okay, today is Friday. Today is Saturday. That means I have to do this and this and this.
It's really hard once you don't go to your job every day.
Right.
Keep the days. Last week I was a day ahead all week. Guess it keeps you from being late.
Remind me, is Andy going to be here?
I will. Not sure.
I'm just trying to remember if I'm supposed to be running this meeting or not.
I believe that that would be a good choice.
Oh.
Unless he logs on.
I'm also trying to manage 4 different things on the Zoom channel too. So
Well,
anyone else that wants to help keep the agenda moving is fine with me. So
I could help. I could help with that. Do
That'd be
introductions and all of that.
that'd be great.
Okie dokie. So it's 1 minute after. Shall we get started?
Sounds good.
Okay, so introductions. I'm going to start at my top left-hand corner and go to the bottom. And as people move around, if I miss anybody, please let us know. And so let's start off. I'm Deb Kohler. I'm with Galilee Lutheran Church, and we are partners with the Ndovo Parish. I also serve as a secretary for this Partners with Meru committee. So I'm going to start with Lynn, and then next will be Sue Johnson.
I'm Lynn Hooper from the Church of Redeemer in Racine. We partner with everyone, and I am the chair of the medical support team.
Great. We'll do Sue and then Dave.
Thomas Sue Johnson from Vernon Lutheran. We partner with Patanumbe.
Great. And Dave, and then we'll do Julie.
I'm Dave Holm from Our Saviors in Oconomowoc, and we partner with Kikatiti and Katefu parishes.
Great. And Julie, and then Pastor Chris.
Julie Starks from St. Stephen the Martyr in Greendale. I manage the website, and we partner with Basen in the Eastern District.
Okay, Chris, and then Darla.
Hi, everyone. Chris Mankey. I'm with Outreach for Hope and partner at large with the diocese and also on the executive committee as the vice chair.
Great. Darla, and then Tom. Oh, Darla, you're on mute.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm using a new tablet these days, so I'm okay. I'm Darla Hyam from St. Matthew's Sentosa, and we partner with Singizi.
Great, thanks, Darla. Tom, and then Rick.
Tom Schaefer from Fox Point, and we partner with Mamela, Nagaranuki, and Usa River.
Great. Rick, and then Patrick.
Yeah, Rick Fraulein from Ascension in Waukesha. We partner with Samaria Parish and also involved with the Coffee Project.
Great. Patrick, and then Bishop.
I'm Pat Gardner from St. Matt's in Wauwatosa, and partner with Singizi and with Darla.
Bishop, and then Dave.
Paul Erickson, Bishop of the Greater Milwaukee Synod, also member of the Coffee Project Board.
Dave, and then Andy.
Good morning, Dave Chappelle from Resurrection in New Berlin. We partner with Kikwe and Karangai, and I'm also honored to serve as the treasurer of this committee.
Thank you. Andy, and then Ruth Ann.
Morning, I'm Andy Diederich with Holy Cross in Menominee Falls, and we partner with Selah Parish.
Great. And Ruth Ann, and then Diane.
I'm Ruth Ann Rohde. I'm the communication liaison and the chair of the education subcommittee.
Great. Diane, and then Sandy.
I'm Diane Voigt from St. Luke's in Waukesha, and we partner with Maroni and Kilimamojo.
Great. And then Sandy, and then Walt.
My name is Sandy Bringwell. I'm a member of Adoration Lutheran Church, and we partner with Mulawa.
Great. Walt, and then Lindsay, Pastor Lindsay.
Walt Chosik, Kingo Lutheran Church, Mount Meru Coffee Project.
Great.
And I'm
Pastor Lindsay, and Andy.
Okay, I'm Lindsay Jordan. I'm pastor at St. Luke's in Waukesha, and we partner with Meru and Kilimamoja.
Great. Andy and then Marilyn. We'll give Andy a minute to get unmuted. Oh, there we go.
I just logged on. You want Andy Diederich or you want me?
Andy, you.
Okay. I am Andy Toth from Resurrection in New Berlin. We partner with Kickway and Karangai, and I am the president of this fine organization.
Great. Thank you. And then Marilyn is connecting to her audio isn't working right now. So Marilyn Heidi is with us as well. So did I miss anybody? I don't see any new boxes floating around. Okay, great. And then Pastor Chris, you're going to be leading us in devotions and prayer.
Yeah, and just want to make sure I've got the sound working on this. So for devotion today, I thought, well, let's talk about partnership, and what better way to do that than with the Outreach for Hope Lenten series that we've been doing, all about partnership, all about relationships and sharing. And then I thought, wouldn't it be great to give you a sneak peek at one of the videos that has not been released yet? It'll be coming out, I forget what date. It's I think in a week or something like that. But this is a partnership, local partnership between Galilee and St. Paul's. So one that Deb is very much a part of. So can everybody see this?
Yep.
And hopefully you'll be able to hear it. Here we go.
Galilee Lutheran Church in Pewaukee and St. Paul's Lutheran Church in Milwaukee have been partners for well over 20 years. Galilee has supported St. Paul's outreach through many changes over the years. It all started with providing a meal at our monthly community night and helping with programming, doing skits and relating Bible stories to the children. Later, a clothing ministry called Kim's Closet was started after our neighborhood minister passed away, and we continued what she was doing out of her home. Galilee members supported us by collecting clothing and helping at the monthly closet night. Again, as life has changed, we have pivoted to a daytime event that we call Kim's Table. Each month we provide a bag lunch, hygiene kits, socks, and a featured item such as t-shirts or towel sets or maybe hooded sweatshirts. Our dear friends from Galilee continue to support us today. This past summer, we did a joint project of making fleece tie blankets for our neighbors who come to Kim's Table. Each congregation set a goal and worked on the blankets in July, August, and early September. Galilee had a theme of why not tie knot, and asked members to visit the blanket table before and after worship to simply tie a knot or two. At St. Paul's, we gathered on a Saturday morning and completed several blankets, and then had blankets available to tie on Sunday mornings. As we were making the blankets, we took time to pray for the person who would receive it, asking God to keep them warm and safe over the winter months. By September's Kim's Table, over 60 blankets were completed. Several friends from Galilee joined us at Kim's Table to hand out the blankets along with the bag lunch, socks, other clothing items, and hygiene packs. It was a beautiful day and our neighbors really appreciated the blankets. While we didn't make the blankets together in the same space, we felt very connected as we worked towards the same goal. Thank you, members of Galilee Lutheran Church, for your help with this project and keeping our community warm and wrapped in prayer. Our partnership with Galilee Lutheran Church has been strong and powerful. We can do more together than alone.
All right. Hopefully y'all saw that because it said on my screen that the sharing was stopped. So did y'all hear that and see it?
We heard it, but did not see it.
Oh, come on. Somebody should have said something.
Well, we put text
I didn't want
to chat box.
Well, you'll get to see it soon. And it had lots of wonderful pictures of Galilee and St. Paul's partnering together. So sorry about that. I kept going, I don't know if I should click this button in the middle of everything. Nobody seems to be complaining. So anyway, the point to all of these are our Lenten videos that Outreach for Hope does throughout every Lent. And we encourage our ministry partners to share a little bit about the partnerships and relationships and what that means. And so those have been going on. We're halfway through Lent now, and more to come. So if you're not getting those, you can always sign up for the emails and or go to our YouTube channel and watch them as they get released each day. But I really wanted to just emphasize that, we also did a synod video recently about partnership. And it's just that reminder to us that it's about accompaniment, walking together. It's about relationships. It's about sharing, but not just sharing money. That's always the first thing we go to. Let's write a check. It's more importantly that we're about relationships and caring for one another, sharing the struggles that we all go through in ministry and in life, and sharing the joys, so that goes through prayer, that goes through regular communication. I think Facebook has been actually a good thing for that. It's opened up communication channels through Messenger with our partners. But just that reminder that, what this whole thing we are doing once a month on Saturday morning is about. It's about that relationship and the connections that we have made as people of God. And the reminder, one of the ministries, Pastor Shar Giuliani, in her video just said, what we realized when in her installation, when people all showed up, she says, we realized we're not alone, and they were feeling very alone. And just that sense of suddenly 50 people showing up and being there with them for that special day was the reminder that they needed that. They're not just a church in that one location. They are the synod. They are the ELCA. They are the people of God all gathered together, and we're not alone in this. And I think that's one of the biggest messages that we need to take away from it. So with that, would you join me in prayer? Dear great and gracious God, on this beautiful sunny day, we thank you for the blessings of life. We thank you for all that you do in our lives. We thank you for the partnerships that you have created amongst us, the relationships that are being formed and continually strengthened. Bless us in that work that we do of communicating and sharing and being there for one another, praying for each other. Bless us as your people, that we might remember that we are not alone, that first and foremost, you are at the center of everything, with us, walking with us daily, and that you have created this wonderful thing, your church, the family of God, blessing us to walk with one another as well. We thank you this day again for all that you do in our lives, and we ask that you bless our meeting and our conversation, that it may continue to strengthen the relationships, the partnerships that you have formed through us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. We have two additional folks that have joined us. So if you want to do some quick introductions, Ellen. And I think you're on mute yet.
There we go. Now I'm not on mute, right? Or I was.
You're good. Oh, now you're on mute again.
Okay. Ellen Cheney, First United Sheboygan. We partner with Bongashini.
Great. And David?
David Schub, Trinity Lutheran Church in West Bend, and we partner with Surrey Lutheran Church.
Welcome. So did I miss anybody? I think we got everybody. Okay. So Andy or Chris, do you want to take over, or do you want me to continue?
Andy looks very official in his outfit. I'm going to let him manage the crew today.
Okay. Well, again, apologies for being late. As you can see, I am on a
You were
job
perfectly on
schedule,
time, Andy.
All right. So it looks like the next thing we've got going on here is the report from I just lost my
Lynn
view.
Lynn Hooper, her
Yeah.
travel to Tanzania in November, December.
Yep. There we go. Now you're all back. Yep.
Okay, and thank you. I'm sorry that I didn't get here a little sooner, but I'm here today.
Actually, Lynn, you were the first one in the room, 8:30.
Yes, I was
beat
here
everybody.
pretty early. So Pastor Chris, can you put those
Yeah.
pictures up for me?
I will try, and hopefully I won't mess it up this time. Can you all see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Black screen. Oh, there we go.
All righty, thank you. And I'll tell you when we need to switch slides. I was in Tanzania for a month between November and December. And again, I'm sorry that I wasn't able to present sooner, but during that month that I was there, it rained every single day except 2. It wasn't even the rainy season, and I believe Ruth Ann had noted that when she spoke a couple months ago. It just rained all the time. But the amazing thing is when it rains there, the wind stops blowing. So the rain just comes straight down. But you can get 2-3 inches at a time, and sometimes 2-3 times in the day. So there was a lot of mud, but not a lot of dust. So that was pretty good. I have the elephants up there, and you'd think that I'd talk to Pastor Chris about his devotions. One of the symbols of Africa is certainly those elephants, and they have a strong community and family ties within their groups. Much like the elephants, we of the Meru Partnership have the opportunity to walk with our African families in the diocese. Obviously, our medical support team seeks to understand how their medical processes are working and how we can participate in their successes. It's not our job to go in there and tell them everything's wrong. We need to understand why they're doing things before we try to make suggestions of change. Next slide. The HIV support group is a group that I'm so pleased that has continued on. They're in currently one of the buildings of the diocese in Kingori. It was initially started by the public health nurse through the hospital, and it was a special program that was funded to assist in putting this group together. They ended up losing the funding at the hospital, and so that direct connection was broken, but still this group continues working, and they support each other not only financially if they can, but also very much emotionally. They're of all different faiths, and they still get together on a fairly regular basis. One of the things that they share is the chicken project that we started about 8 years ago. Next slide. I'm standing inside the room where the chicken hatcher is. To the right is the chicken hatching machine, and to the left are the batteries for the solar that helps to take care of that machine. We have found that because the electricity is so spotty lately, and sometimes you're without electricity for 8-10 hours, sometimes up to 26-36 hours, it did not have the quality and size of solar batteries to be able to maintain it. So their eggs were all not surviving. So we were able to work with Fundi there that got the right types of equipment for it, and much more than doubled the electricity that it will provide. The diocese provides that building, but they have started to say that they wanted them to pay for any electricity that they were using. So we were able to get a big enough solar that it runs their hatcher, and they have lights in the rooms there, all provided through this mechanism by the sun. So hopefully they will be able to keep it going. And I have been told that there are eggs that are starting to hatch in the last month. So right at this moment, it's working very well. There are members that come and tend to it regularly. And there is a second room in that building where then the new chicks are housed until they're taken to the members' home to grow to maturity. The plan is then for them to either sell them, use the eggs, etc., and return money to their general fund to help support these machines as they have needs. That still is a little bit difficult concept, but we hope that with it running again, it will induce them to do it a little bit better and have that money the next time that it does need to be taken care of. One of the requests that we made to the diocese is that they make this HIV support group an official member of their missions. Right at this point, they are not, but obviously they're housed by the diocese and the diocese is aware of their presence. There are other rooms or small buildings in that same little gathering, and they're hoping that the diocese will provide another one of those rooms so that they can raise a few chickens there and have a consistent amount of known healthy eggs that they can use for the hatcher. So they're doing a lot of thinking. There are several of them that are very good at knowing what needs to be done in there. And they live close enough that if there is a problem, they can check on them at any time. Next slide. This is the outside of the building that I'm talking about, where the small window is the hatcher, and then the doorway leads into the area where the chicks will be. And on the day when we had the solar installed, obviously there were no eggs or chicks there, but within the week that was started, and that's why they're hatching away at this point. And hopefully it will provide the electricity that we need for a long time. Next slide. These are the batteries that are necessary to hold that energy from the solar panels. The others used to be a little smaller, but now we have these great big doozies that hopefully are going to do what they need to do for us. Next slide. Another thing that we've been working on is maintaining some medications and supplies at the Ngarunuki dispensary. I had done that at the beginning of last year because we were very aware that with their lack of supplies or medications, the patients loved coming to see the doctor and the nurses there, but then they'd have to go to the government clinic to get the medications that they needed. There's now a new doctor at the dispensary, and he is prepared to do quite a few different procedures and a lot of different IV therapy. So we were able to obtain those supplies at the pharmacy. And amazingly, I can just walk into the pharmacy and say, I want these drugs. As long as it's not a narcotic or a sleeping pill, they will sell it to me to be able to use at these dispensaries. Next slide. And this is the inside of that little pharmacy in Arusha. It's called MacMedic, and they are always very helpful. And if they don't have it in their store, they literally run out the door, hop on their bicycle or their motorbike, and go someplace else and bring it back so that we have what we need. It's kind of a neat setup, and I don't think there's many people here that would do that. Next. Another one of the things that we were able to accomplish, people from Journey in Faith here in Racine made 65 pillowcase dresses again. So I divided the pillowcase dresses along with sandals that I had gotten and toiletries such as toothpaste and toothbrushes. And there was a bag of supplies that went to each of the district pastors to be distributed to the children in greatest need. So here's a few of the children in Sura that received their little goodies. Next slide. And then some of the children were able to receive their gifts at church. So as the pastor and others handed it out to the children, the congregation was singing, they were all clapping and smiling. So a very small gift is so much appreciated. Next slide. I was able to attend the graduation for the students at Mishikamano in their December class. And these are the two top students. Of course, we had to have goat to celebrate their graduation. And the bishop was also there to assist in the graduation ceremony. Of course, it rained, but they did have tents that were up and we just scooted from one tent to the next. But it was a lovely day. And those students are very anxious to be out there and have jobs soon. Next slide. This is a teacher in her classroom at Angaza. I have to tell you, I have always gone to the government schools that were near to the places where I was staying. This is the first time that I was in diocese schools. And my goodness, is there a difference? What you see in the diocese schools are bright and shiny classrooms. There's windows where the children get light to be able to see. There's adequate lights in the ceiling to turn on, and their desks are whole, and each child has a place to be. So that's something to be very proud of. This teacher is holding a letter, and it came in a packet from the children at Waterwith Elementary in Racine, telling them about themselves and asking some questions of the children. I know that the children at Angaza have written their letters to come back, but I still have not gotten them. So I'm working on getting them so that the children will be able to see their responses before the end of the school year. Next slide. This is the classroom so that you could see how really nice it is and bright. It's a stark difference from the government schools, very much so. Next slide. There's also, you know, that population of Maasai children who aren't necessarily really close to the schools. Obviously, there's laws that say that children must go to school, but some of the boys spend all of their time after they're 10 or 11, 12 years old out tending the cattle. And these little girls learn how to cook, etc. So the need for food and education continues to be a necessity for those families as they try to maintain their traditions. Next slide. Sometimes people think that we are providing everything and the Maasai people are, the African people are just waiting for us to give. This is the outside page of a Harambe that was held for the Mulala Church in February. And many churches are doing that at this point. Poli, another one of the churches with a very large group of young adults, did a Harambe during the first week that I was there to help support additional buildings to support all of the attendees in their congregation, which is really amazing to see. The Harambe from Mulala was to now get the roof put onto the building that they are in the midst of. So everything's moving along and they are helping also. And as you know, everybody contributes something. So if they don't have money, they're going to bring their chickens, their few beans, or a couple eggs to be auctioned at the end of the services. Next page. This kind of shows you the reason why Mulala needs to have a bigger church. This is just a portion of the widows and widowers of the congregation who get together at intervals, and I've met with them a few times. There's hundreds of widows and widowers in that church. So obviously, many of them have very little, and we try to provide them lunch and socks and things that will be of use to them. And the most important thing is the community, is that they are able to be part of when they gather together. Next page. Okay, as most of you will recognize, this is a sign for the Nicaragua Hospital. It's very productive, but it has obviously a number of needs. Dr. Schrammel was there just the week before I got there, and she's the surgeon from Furkinder who works on reconstructive surgery for pediatrics. They did another 200 surgeries while they were there. So they are a pretty amazing group that comes there. They are also the sponsors of the maternity wing, and I will show you a picture of that in a couple minutes. The two biggest needs that I saw as we were touring through and talking to leadership are a generator and outpatient ER plan and a building. As any of you who have been there will recall, it is not sitting on flat ground. And so they currently have a lot of flooding when there's a good share of rain, and there's not any one place that is necessarily big enough to make this new facility useful. So they need an architect to come in and really figure out what is the best thing for them. The other thing is the generator. It was several years ago that we helped to replace the generator because of the new equipment in radiology. What we didn't know that it was a used generator. And so with the amount of use that it's getting now, it has to be serviced more often than it did. So when I first got the call, it sounded like everything was falling apart and they needed it immediately. They don't need it immediately, but they will need it in the not too distant future. The family from Belgium got real busy and bought a generator that they were going to have shipped, and it wasn't the right kind or the right size. So the gentleman is trying to sell that to be able to have that money available to assist in the purchase of that new generator. They've got the surgery area, the big new maternity wing, so size is important. And I know Andy and Dave talked about having some connections with some of the companies here in Milwaukee. So we'll continue to see if there's a way that we can get a good piece of machinery for them and have it at a little lower cost, but have it be something that would be good for them for a long time. Next page. This is the maternity building, which is pretty big and beautiful. It's 2 stories high, but none of the inside is completed yet. So they anticipate that it'll be done by the end of this year or the beginning of next. And that will certainly be a wonderful relief for that population, because the other maternity portion was very small and lots of patients in each room. This should be a godsend for them. Next page. New life is evolving in Meru every day. And that life includes children, adults, even the animals that are there. This is one of the darling pigs that's at Mishikamano that they raise. Even with strife, drought, floods, God is always there. Even with this cute little pig, I know that God is there, and we see God's stories every day when we're at the hospital, when we're at the schools, or just walking down the street. So we need to continue to use our minds to think out of the box and continue to pray that God stays with them and with us. And every time I talk to anyone, they always say, make sure you tell the people in Wisconsin that we're praying for you also. So that is the end of my story for today. I don't know if anybody has questions, or you are always welcome to call me.
I think that was a terrific presentation, Lynn. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great pictures. One question I have is if they have any specification for the size of generator they need, what the kilowatts they need out of that generator.
They do have that, and I don't have it immediately with me, but I will locate it and get it to you so that you know what you're looking for.
Okay.
And the person who did determine that was apparently the person that worked with the one before. So he knows what they need, and he's taken into consideration the new buildings.
Okay. So probably that and the fuel that needs to run, which I'm assuming is diesel, but just need to confirm that.
Fuel and size. Okay, I will make sure that I check on that.
Yeah, if you could also maybe give us the contact information. I remember having those conversations several years ago, Lynn.
Okay.
But I don't remember the gentleman's name, but I do remember him being extremely competent and understanding exactly what was needed. So it might be actually good to reconnect and work together on it as opposed to us just trying to see what we can do with some specs.
That would be great, because obviously you guys know a whole lot more about generators than I do. I can carry the message, but that's about it.
Yeah, Walt, if you're still on, you might put Mahoney on notice. We're going to be after him again.
Yeah.
Very good. And it's amazing the amount of time that they're without electricity right now, much more than I've ever seen. So these generators are really important, because you can't run a somewhat modern hospital without the availability of electricity.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Anybody have any questions or comments for Lynn on her report? Thank you very much, Lynn. You know, the work you do there is terrific, and it's appreciated by them and it's appreciated by us. So thank you.
Thank you. I get so much out of it that I feel guilty. I feel like I should be giving more. So it's a special place.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
And Ellie has recently been here to visit her grandchildren. So she sends her love to everybody also.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Love back. All right. Moving along, we got a report on the Hope Seats project. Sue?
Yes, thank you. The website is progressing very nicely. They've made many corrections to the original text and have added several photos. They have a photo gallery that is really interesting to go on. One thing that disturbs me is earlier this week, I received an email from Julie that had an email attached to it from a man in Africa who claims to have an NGO, and he wants Hope Seeds to help fund his NGO. I forwarded, excuse me, I forwarded the email to Novatus and sent a WhatsApp to both him and Marcy just to explain the situation. I did notice a couple of days ago that the man from Africa had sent an email to Novatus, but to date, I don't believe that he has answered that. I'm going to keep checking on that because it bothers me. I think it's a scam. I'm pretty sure it's a scam, but we want to make sure that we follow through on it. With Lynn's comment about the lack of electricity that they're experiencing, we need to be really patient with them. Obviously, you can't build a website if you don't have electricity. And I don't know how they can function sometimes with their lack of electricity. We just need to realize the obstacles that are in their way and to be really, really patient with them. The donate button is still not working. The last I heard, Glucky was working with the bank to try to get that set up. we had quite a discussion about that last month at our meeting. And I think we need to remember that this donation button is primarily for people who are outside of the Greater Milwaukee Synod who want to donate to the project. And that allows the project to have donations from all over the world once we can get the word out there. And they are very good at that. So I think if we continue to use our wire transfer, which works really well for us, and just monitor the donation button, we'll be in good shape. Other than that, I'm very happy with everything that's going on connected to Hope Seed, and that's my report.
Hey, Sue, this is Dave.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a conversation now in the respect for time, but I would like to have a conversation a bit later on how the wire transfer would work, given the donate button and how that kind of connects to everything. And I would like to understand that if we need to be involved. So
I think, Dave, that the donation button is completely separate from the wire transfer.
okay, but never mind. Let's talk about it later. But I just
Okay.
I would like to
I'll
understand that better.
Okay, I'll make a note. Thank you.
And for those who may be wondering, an NGO is a not-for-profit.
It's a non-government organization.
Yeah, non-government organization. Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions or comments on the Hope Seeds report? All right, we'll move on to the secretary's minutes from February. They were available on the link, and does anyone have any questions or corrections?
I want to say that, say thank you to Sue Johnson for preparing them again. And Ruth Ann, thank you so much for proofing them. And apologies for not getting them out onto Airtable sooner. But if anybody's got any questions on those, or if you've had a chance to read through them, we can either action them today or we can save them for next month.
Well, I see Julie's hand up. Sorry, there you
Move
went.
to
You moved
approve.
on me.
Move
And I second it.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Julie and second by Diane.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
all in
Marilyn.
favor of approving the secretary's notes from February? All opposed? All right. That passes.
Awesome. And then the second thing that I have is Synod Assembly is coming up in May 17th and 18th. We have secured a table at the Synod Assembly. We'll be sharing that with the Mount Meru Coffee Project. Thank you, Rick, and thank you, Walt. I don't know if you've known about that, but Rick and I had a chance to touch base about that. I'm putting together a PowerPoint, like a 40-slide PowerPoint that's going to loop on a TV. We do have electricity available, so I'm going to need to be connecting with the different partnership committees for pictures and updates. Kind of want to tell our story through a lot of pictures at the Synod Assembly. I'll also have brochures for our that were created for Together in Mission as handouts. And then I guess I'll pull one thing up from the end of the meeting is that we are talking about the executive committee leadership team was talking about doing a Synod delegation with tentative travel end of January, beginning of February, and we want to open this up to all of the congregations. We want to message this out. I know, we could have a congregation here that has 1 or 2 people. We've got a congregation here that has 1 or 2 people. We really like to open this up for folks that have never been there before, that maybe don't have a partnership, that we can strengthen that. And we'll be putting together an agenda as far as looking at, looking at the hospital projects, the education, the coffee project, and then of course, probably ending with a safari. So, Lynn, yes?
Also the Bishop Kitoy did mention that they would like to come here sometime in the near future.
Oh, excellent. So we will, we can work on that too. I mean, it's been, I mean, we've had a lot of partner to partner congregations going over there. However, I don't think we've done a full Senate visit since I think somebody told me 2017 or something like that. So it, you know, except for like bishop installations and things like that. We're hoping that perhaps Bishop Paul will be back from El Salvador in time to unpack a suitcase and repack a suitcase to join us. You know, we'll just, I think the Synod Assembly with so many people there is a good place for us to start promoting this. We'll have to limit the travel, so I'll be depending, I haven't been there since 2010. And, you know, I'll need to rely on a lot of folks that have been there recently and help in planning this. But I thought Synod Assembly might be a really good place for us to start, you know, asking the question, are you interested in going?
Okay.
Any questions?
Okay, do you have a note taker for next month?
I don't.
And I'm not available, but if no one wants to take them, I could use the video and do what I did a few months ago.
That would be so great. Thank you, Sue.
Okay.
I so much appreciate that.
Okay, but do we have a volunteer to do it live and while we're doing it?
I think it works great with the video. Sarah's done that for us before in the past too, so.
Okay. I didn't want Sue to walk from, I won't be here, but I'll do it if no one else does. Going, okay, we're set.
I don't mind doing it, Andy. It really is not a problem.
Okay, very good.
And I am really not good at doing it, so I so much appreciate that. Thank you so much, Sue. That's all I
right.
had.
Okay, very good. That takes us to the treasurer's report. Dave?
Can I share?
Sorry, give me one second.
The Pastor Chris?
Yes, you can now.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yep.
I see your
All right.
toolbar getting upgraded.
Really?
I just see a blank white screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
That's odd, because that looks like a sharing from my perspective. Let's try it again. All right, that's not good. Still?
Looks like a whiteboard.
I don't know what's going on.
Chris, it's an Airtable. Could you pull it up?
Yeah, I can put it up for you, Dave, if you want.
Yeah, we may have to go that way. I don't know why.
Can you see it now?
There we go.
Yeah,
That's good.
All right.
Okay.
So let me minimize it so I can read mine. All right. I'm going to spend a very little time on the January report because January is the last month of the fiscal year. So 2023 for the Senate and for us ends at the end of January. So this is a typical report you see, but I do want to focus on the total year as part of this report. But you kind of see it was a not surprisingly big month in November. $84,000 as gifts come in to kind of close out the year. The wire transfer went out probably in November as well. And there's one that is scheduled, and then when we're out of January, I'm sorry, that it's also included in here. So you can kind of see that, and that was $80,000, about the same as what we took in. So you can see most of that comes in and out rather readily. I would like to then focus on 2023. So if we go to the next slide, Chris, please.
A question came up, Dave, that the heading on that page was January 2023. Was that supposed to be January 2024?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess I forgot to change it considering the fiscal year, but yes, that's 24. Thank you. All right, the second page is kind of a summary of the year end, so I just want to report some of the highlights. At the risk of reading this, the parish support, $200 and some thousand, higher than 2022, but that does not necessarily imply that we're on a really positive trajectory. It really depends on projects that our partners are working with and our response to those projects. But you can see that 73% of the total contribution that we receive we're parish to parish partners. So that becomes a huge focus of our ministry are those relationships and financial support. Mostly focused. I was mostly focused on education and hunger projects. This does not, with the parish to parish, a lot of the parishes, had their own programs as well as what the diocese did on its own. Investing in Meru was $29,000, down significantly from the year when we had a focus on it. There are still needs there, but not to the extent that they were. But I have to report that 80% of that 29,000 came from Hepatha, which I think was 8,000 or 9,000, and then one individual who kind of was over $10,000 in gifts that come in on a regular basis. So significant support from a couple of different groups. I continue to be overwhelmingly impressed with Hepatha and their love for this partnership. Special gifts, $20,000. That includes the $10,662 from the Equipping the Saints program. Several focused initiatives that are out there. Things like computer support, scholarship money, special stoves for one of the schools. They go through that account. So that's another way that we support our partnership. Professional education, about the same as last year, $2,000, reflects the lack of focus on that, a lack of just, I think that's not so much a lack of anything, more of a focus on some of the other things that are going on. But it's kind of something we may want to talk about moving forward, whether we want to put some more emphasis on that fund. The water project received some significant financial support. We are $16,000 away to complete that project through the end of the village of Karangai. So it's something we need to kind of focus on. But I also want to focus on, or want to thank Pastor Karen Paul for double duty. She has received a call. I have to tell you, Bishop, I got the report with the financials at 2:00 in the morning. She sent. So this person is just wonderful support, and she's just trying to make a lot of things happen. And so hopefully that as we get the new system implementation and the new process in place, that she can take a break. So hopefully
go to bed at night.
Yeah, that too. And then finally, I just want to announce that I will be stepping down at the end of our election cycle. And so it's been my honor to serve. I've enjoyed this, but I think it's time to move on. And Darla Khan has agreed to take over, obviously pending a committee approval. And we've already started the transition, and I think she's going to be terrific. And look forward to that transition. And I think we all will notice absolutely no difference, and not some improvement in terms of the way we do things. So this is great. But so the last comment I want to make is the highlight at the end. My report has always been about numbers. That's kind of what I do, and that's what the focus of this report is. But our report is about people and relationships. And so I do honestly believe that the numbers that you see that I report on a monthly basis reflect the love and respect and partnership relationship that we have, and that's what this ministry and these reports are all about. So the details, in fact, there's more details that were sent by mistake. Just ignore them. They're my worksheet stuff that I, for some reason, didn't get deleted off of this file. But anyway, that's the report. Unless there's questions.
Okay, Diane, you have a question?
I just wanted to thank you for the report that maybe was there by accident of all the donations that have been given by by district. by the different congregation partners going back to 2015. It was a really impressive listing, you know, kind of a good recall for me since I've been involved since that point, you know, of the donations shared, you know, through our congregation to our partners over that time period.
Yeah, it actually was a mistake, but the graph that is, it came from that data. The reason I didn't do that is I wasn't sure whether it was appropriate to highlight individual churches and stuff, but I do find it useful data for, I think, Sue Johnson. You know, you might find it as part of your partnership to understand where things are going and things like that. So it's not that we're trying to hide data. It's so thank you for bringing that up, Diane. In any case, yes, you're right. There was a lot of activity over the years that we continue to do that. And so it's all that which Diane is talking about is the backup data that is displayed on the graph in the upper left. So thanks, Diane.
Yeah, I just want to chip in too. And you've been doing this for a lot of years, Dave, and we're certainly really appreciative of that and the great job that you've done. It's not. It's a lot of things, a lot of pulling things together and working with people, and there are some deadlines involved, and so we appreciate everything that you've done. And we are also appreciative of Darla for stepping up and filling your big shoes, and I'm sure she's going to be doing a great job with that, and I thank you, Darla, for stepping up.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And yeah, I look forward to working with Darla in the transition. We're already starting. It's been going great.
All right. Do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
And a second from Ellen Cheney. All in favor of approving the treasurer's report as modified to January 2024? All opposed? All right. Thanks again very much.
Dave, are you going to change that and then repost it into the Airtable?
Yeah, I absolutely will do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Want to highlight that the next wire transfer is May the 5th, and that is a hard deadline. There's a lot of work that goes into that. So if you've got something that needs to go, it needs to be there by the 5th of May.
Yep.
All right. Moving on to subcommittee reports. And first one on the list here is economic development. Diane?
I don't have a report for today.
Okay, I was just going to say we're running a little long on time, so if we can keep things short, you don't get much shorter than that.
That's
Education. Right. Education. Ruth Ann, you're muted.
Yes, I don't have a specific report either, except for one item, which I included in my communication report, so I'll share it at that time.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Lynn, anything more on medical? You're muted, Lynn.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. We haven't met for a bit. I've been in communication with the team by email. So hopefully in this next month, we'll get together and start trying to create some kind of basic plan to be able to assist, especially with those plans that are needed for the ER and outpatient department. And I did approach the hospital leadership that they need to show us that they're giving some type of contribution to that set of plans. And they were like, well, yeah, I guess we should. So they will make a contribution to that also as we try to get that together. So
Okay.
Thank
Very,
you.
very good. Thank you. The coffee ministry, Rick?
Yeah, I've got all the details in the report that I uploaded, but I want to highlight a couple of things. This week, we wrapped up the 23-24 coffee sales. The Meru Specialty Coffee Growers Association produced over 161,000 kilograms of cherries, which after processing turned into a little bit over 21,000 kilograms of green beans. They're able to sell all of those, the low grade to various buyers, but the export grade went to a company called YYTZ Agro Processing, which in the past had been really focused on cashews. So it's interesting to see they bought coffee. We agreed to supplement the price for the beans that we would have imported this year. So they ended up, according to WhatsApp yesterday, providing the biggest second payment to the farmers that they've had all time. So we appreciate the work that they've done, but we certainly recognize the fact that we need to continue to support them, even though we do not import cherries or green beans, excuse me. The other thing I wanted to highlight, first 2 months, sales volume was down, which had me a little bit concerned, but this past week we had just a tremendous bolus of orders. So I think hopefully we'll be okay as we look forward to sales throughout March and in the first quarter. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then finally, the thing I wanted to highlight was we've had something called reseller prices for coffee. And Sarah Waymeyer Aparicio came to me a couple of months ago and said, hey, can we use your coffee as a fundraiser for Waukesha South High School band, choir, and orchestra? So we said yes, and we delivered their order this past week. And they made just under $500 from the sale of our coffee. At the same time, her husband, Edwin, said, hey, can I use that for the youth group at Ascension to help support their New Orleans trip? And even though we sell coffee within the congregation, they ended up making $341 from their sale. So it's something I'm throwing out there to say that from a fundraiser standpoint, it's a little bit unique and something that we certainly would be willing to entertain going forward. So that's it.
All right, very good. And for those who are wondering, if you take the kilogram numbers and multiply that by 2.2, you'll find out what that all means in pounds. So I think next we've got parish partners. Sue Johnson.
Yep. In about the middle of February, I sent out an email to all of the partnering congregations asking them to update their information. To date, I have received a response from 12 congregations. Monday, I'm going to send out an email again to the remaining congregations that I haven't heard from, which are Christ the King, Fox Point, Galilee, Our Savior's Heartland, St. John's Jackson, St. Luke Waukesha, St. Matthew's, Shepherd of the Hills, Trinity, and Whitnall Park. So I hope to get that updated. In addition to that, I did send an email to Mr. Kaya asking for more contact information with the pastor reassignments. If we don't have phone numbers and emails for these pastors, our congregations have no way of contacting them. So I have heard nothing from him. I met with Ron Bohr at All Saints Wales and got caught up on all of the progress their partnership is making with St. Goro. I did receive a call from Pastor Bill Knapp from Fox Point asking for some help planning their trip, which will hopefully be in January 2025. And he was going to put together some things and get back to me. And finally, I'm willing to meet with any of the partnership committees and just share what's going on and how we can help one another to make the partnership even stronger.
Very, very good. And I know I asked the question of you for the update that I sent. If anyone there, if your churches have an interim pastor right now, we're still interested in having their contact information because they are right now the pastor of your church. So don't wait until you get a full-time pastor. If you've got an interim, please provide the contact information for that interim pastor.
Thank you, Andy.
All right. Anything else, Sue? Okay, very good. And water report. Dave, do you have anything to report on water?
Yeah, just a quick one. When we started the year or the end of going into the end of last year, we needed about $26,000 to complete the project. We received $8,600 at the end, towards the end of the year, which has been forwarded to Meru. The good news is that you don't need all $26,000 to start work. They can actually divide even the final phase into sub phases, and they can actually use that money to start extending the pipeline and put some access points along the way. So while we still are trying to figure out how to raise the rest of it, the $8,600 will not sit unused waiting for the rest of it. So that was actually good news. I'm waiting for a report from Godwin to kind of give us an update on where all that is, but that's the plan.
Great. Thanks very much. Any questions on any of the subcommittee reports? All right. We'll move on to the communication liaison. Ruth Ann, anything you want to highlight?
Yes. We've really been trying to get that contact information, and I'm not sure what the issue is there, why it's taking so long to get it. We did find out, thanks to Pastor Endalaqua, people who have been reassigned, but as Sue said, we haven't gotten the additional contact information. So you'll see in my first 3 entries that it's me asking again and again, and I started asking in December because I know that's when those decisions are made. But anyway, I hope you'll read the report for other details, but I do want to highlight that last month I sent an that goes on to the next page. There you go. I sent an email to everyone or copied everyone in the diocese office, including Toretto as the education secretary, just kind of reminding them of the conversation that we had when we met together in November regarding our desire to make sure that we, trying to do a better job of supporting the diocese schools. And so I reminded them of that and of this challenge of sometimes money going to the parishes, which the parishes then distribute to students in their congregation who attend government schools. And I talked about that before a couple months ago when I gave my education report. But anyway, I printed over there under current status that on the 23rd of February, I received that response from Mr. Kaya, which was very encouraging to me, saying, yes, they're going to follow through and try to convince their churches by talking with their pastors that the education funds and gifts for scholarships be designated for students who are attending diocese schools. And so anyway, it's like what Lynn said about the hospital. There's so much that is good going on in the diocese schools, but their needs continue to be great. But the point that I really want to make by talking about the good things that are going on there is that giving scholarships for students to attend the diocese schools is an excellent investment, not only in those young people, but in the future of the communities there, because they're going to get a quality education despite all the challenges they have. But they still very much need our support to continue to grow and improve. That's it.
Okay. And I'm sure there was plenty of talk before I was able to join the call, but I'll just say you are looking and sounding very well, and I'm happy you're making a strong recovery.
Thank you very much, Andy, and everyone who has prayed for me. I appreciate it very much. I still have a ways to go, but definitely getting better.
Well, looking and sounding good. So, Andy Dieterich, you have a question?
Yeah, I do. I'm new, and I'm trying to understand things. So I've just been asking a lot of questions recently of our partner, and they have about, they said they have 190 kids that are attending school. None of them are going to a diocese school. And based on the things that I have seen from the photos that they have sent, a scholarship, as I recall you saying when you presented, would give them money for lunch. And I'm trying to understand, if we just give the money to the diocese schools, if the kids aren't getting a lunch, I'm trying to balance all of that. And I get the focus on diocese schools, but I also don't know physically where they are compared to where Selah is. So.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't really know the answer to that either, because I'm not that clear on where Selah is. So if anybody else can answer that question. But there are, excuse me, one of the big differences between the government schools and the diocese schools is the government schools are free. So there really is no such thing as a scholarship for a student who attends a government school, because it doesn't cost anything to go. But they also, and none of them are boarding schools. Whereas all of the diocese schools have a boarding option, if not a boarding requirement. So what happens is the government schools ask families to donate a certain amount.
Uh-oh.
We lost Ruth Ann.
Yeah.
I think I can kind of finish what she's beginning to share. It's one of the things that we have at Moroni and in Kilimamoja. They don't. It is a free tuition, but the kids don't get fed unless there's a donation of the
So
maize
we don't
and
call it a
beans.
scholarship. We call it a donation towards their lunch or whatever.
Exactly. It's like paying for lunch fees.
Yeah.
And which it's a free system, but they don't provide a free lunch.
Okay.
And for these kids that aren't boarding there, this may be their only meal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and as Julie put in the chat, and I think Ruth Ann was probably getting to, the secondary schools run by the diocese are boarding schools. The ones that are government schools are not.
Yep.
So.
Well, but the diocese has a couple of primary schools, and those are not boarding. And Gaza and I'm forgetting the other one in the Eastern District. So primary schools are less prevalent, not conveniently located for all of our parishes, but those are not boarding.
Okay.
And I recall that Ruth Ann had said in her presentation a while back that, the parents of the kids that go to a government school, they're asked to donate, whether it's maize or beans or whatever. So, potentially it could be that kind of donation, maybe not for a student for their meal, but
A donation towards.
a donation of corn or a donation of beans or something like that.
Okay.
It's been called tuition. That's the tuition.
I guess that's the confusion in the term versus
exactly. But it's really lunch money.
Lunch money. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Well, and let me clarify, it's not lunch money in the way we think of lunch money. What they typically, and I'm sorry, what happened to me was my battery suddenly went dead.
Oh.
So anyway, the government schools ask families to contribute a certain amount of maize and beans. And then they serve basically a porridge a porridge / beans lunch. Okay. Less than half of the students who attend the government schools in the Meru area contribute anything toward food. So what that means is they try to stretch what they do have. And you know, there's going to be some students, I mean, it's just not going to stretch that far. So there's some students who aren't getting any food.
Yeah.
Okay. The diocese schools, their school fees pay for everything that happens at the school.
That's what I had understood.
So they receive all of their classes, they receive 3 meals a day, boarding, you know, all of that.
Yep.
And there's not mud.
So I hope that helps to answer your question.
Yep.
You were saying, Lynn?
In the diocese schools, there's no mud puddles in the middle of the classroom where the children are walking through. And you see that a lot of times in the government schools. They don't maintain the roofs. There's not windows in the window slots. So the diocese schools are superb compared to that. But that distance, especially for young girls walking through along the paths, and that is not safe if they have to go long distances alone. So it's a hard thing to be able to say everybody needs to go to a diocese school because they're not that convenient to them.
And some just.
That is the reason, though, why the diocese schools are boarding schools.
Exactly.
But,
so that they
we
don't
were
have
also,
that issue.
Ruthann, we were also talking about the primary schools.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the primary schools are not boarding, and there's only 2 diocese primary schools. So
Right.
many of these kids getting tuition assistance are primary students.
Yeah, and that is because of the history of how education developed in Tanzania. When they became a nation in the 1960s, the government provided primary education and mandated that primary level education, which is kindergarten through standard 7, is mandatory. And they actually asked the churches to provide the secondary level education because the nation didn't have the resources to do it. And that is how the diocese started these secondary schools and other religious schools throughout Tanzania. And then in more recent years, their previous president, not the current president, decided to really promote a proliferation of government secondary schools. So of course, families are sending their students there because they can't afford the school fees of the diocese schools. But the quality is so diminished. And one of the things that is very frustrating to me is that the government has placed extremely high standards on the church schools, which they have done their level best to meet, and you can see how they are meeting them. But their own government-sponsored schools do not meet those same standards. Yet they threaten to shut down the church schools.
Sure.
Okay. That gets your
Yeah,
question
no, that's
answered.
great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Okay, anything else from Ruthann?
You know, one other thing I could just say, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but just one other thing is, you know, we are not hardened to the dilemma of these kids who are going to these substandard schools and a lack of food. But I think the way that our organization and our partnership can address those food needs is through what we do for hunger relief. You know, that's a hunger relief issue, not so much an education issue. And I have asked the diocese recently to keep us apprised of the situation with food and hunger, you know, and we're hoping for a much better harvest, as you keep hearing us say it's been raining. So anyway, that's just another thing. I don't want it to feel like we're saying, well, too bad those kids in the government schools aren't getting any food, you know. That's really not the issue. But for those who have a passion to support education, let's support it through the diocese, because that's where the quality education is happening.
Okay.
And you haven't spoken at all about the language and the problems with the children taking that test, because the government schools do not teach English. Yet when they get to those higher levels and have to take the test, they fail because they've never learned English. And when they get to those higher levels, they are expected to speak English. So the diocese schools are teaching the children English, and so they have a better chance of succeeding in those higher levels than the government school children.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay, and then moving on, Julie, you have anything you want to share about the website?
No, we're carrying on. Report was submitted, so keep sending info if you want it highlighted.
And that's a good segue to talk about all the places where we can share information. The Synod newsletter stories, go to Diane Voigt, Facebook and Instagram to Julie Starks and Diane Voigt, and the MailChimp and Greater Milwaukee Synod listserv account. Deb Kohler has that, and all of those contact email addresses are listed in the agenda. So we've got a couple of trips coming up. Tentative trip for Fox Point in January of 2025. So anything, let's see, do we have anyone from Fox Point on the call right now?
Tom Schaefer's.
Yeah, I'm looking for Tom on my screen. Did he drop?
Yes.
He's gone.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and then as Deb mentioned, I don't know, what do we call it? A synod trip late January, early February of next year. Anybody aware of any other trips that your congregations are thinking about, planning about? We got lots of resources here. So if you're thinking about a trip and have a lot of questions, we have a lot of people, and also some brochures and information we can share with you and your congregations if you're thinking about a trip.
Great. Andy, can I just ask Lynn, I've got all of our partnership committee phone numbers, but Lynn, I don't have yours. Could you pop that into the meeting chat real quick for me?
Sure.
All right. We do have an executive committee meeting coming up. We've been remiss in inviting the subcommittee chairs. I don't have a calendar in front of me right now to tell you exactly what day that is, but you'll be seeing an invitation to the next one if you're a subcommittee chair very soon.
We need devotions for April, Andy.
Okay, thank you for that reminder. Do we have a volunteer to do devotions in April? Ruth Ann, I see your hand. Thank you very much.
I've got April 8th as the exec committee.
April which?
8th, I think it is.
I was going to guess that.
Yeah.
That would be the second Monday, so that makes sense, yeah. And I think we were going to do it at 6 o'clock Milwaukee time, because I'm in North Carolina and working, so I need
put out a calendar
have it a little
invite.
later.
I'll put out a calendar invite to exec committee and all subcommittee members.
If you'd like to, otherwise I can. But
Oh,
that
if you would, that'd be great. That'd be great.
I will take care of it.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Anybody have anything else for the good of the order?
Yeah, I would like to just notify everybody that I should have said this before, but you'll see in the February report that as we received a gift from Capitol Drive Lutheran Church as part of their closing. They are closing, and they were sending money from their treasury into projects, and the Meru committee received $13,800 in change. So I'm putting that as an executive committee agenda item to talk about what we want to do with that money. But it's been deposited in our account, and away we go. So thank you.
All right. Well, thanks to them. Sorry to see them go away as an entity, but you know, we give thanks for their generosity. All right. If there's nothing else, Pastor Lindsay, you know, we tried doing the Lord's Prayer together last month, and that ended up being a little bit of a hot mess. So how about if you just lead us in the prayer?
Absolutely. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
And also with you.
Gracious God, we give you thanks for the way that you sustain relationships here and abroad. Help our hearts to be pulled toward each other so that we can continue to strengthen your mission in the world. Bless our partners in Tanzania as they continue to lead a church that is doing incredible work. Help us to learn from them. Help us to learn from each other. Now bless us as we go into this beautiful day and have many activities ahead of us. In your name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. And thank you all for your time.
I was able to get my sound, but not my video, so I don't know if you had me on the list or not. Carolyn.
Yep, we did.
Have
Thanks,
a good day.
Carolyn.
Okay, thanks, Deb.
We remember what you look like, Marilyn.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good day.